Brought to you by Ayoko, Africa's leading integrated technology services company.
It's time for Tech Talk. Now, mobile phone operators have a time limit on when airtime and data packages can be consumed. And in many instances, these packages expire before the consumer uses up what they have paid for. The local CEOs of MTN and Vodacom have provided reasons for this to Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Communication and Digital Technologies. And sadly, this won't change anytime soon. Business Day's Mudiwa Gavaza joins us with more insight on that. Mudiwa, thanks so much for your time and joining us this afternoon. And I must say, I'm one of the South Africans that's really sad that this is not going to change anytime soon. And let's start there. Yeah. Why has this practice, become status quo?
So when you look at it from the mobile operator's point of view, they argue to say that the network is a finite resource. And if you have a finite resource, it means that you cannot provision access to a finite resource in perpetuity.
Okay.
Right? And there's a lot of different examples that are given. They say, for example, that you can't, in the same way that you can't, let's say, buy a bus ticket forever. Your bus ticket is for a particular, let's say, a particular trip, or in certain cases you buy access for a certain period. Let's say you buy access to one of the transport services, and it allows you to use the bus every morning for a month. And then you have to top up or renew and all of that stuff. In the same way, they're saying that we cannot be provisioning airtime and data that just lasts forever. We must be able to encourage usage on the network.
Okay, then if that's the case, and I really liked some of the analogies, right? If that's the case, then why are we still paying high prices for these services, whether it's airtime or data, considering that, there's a limited time frame to the bundle? One would think that maybe it would cost you less.
So a couple of key issues here. The first one is the fact that data prices have come down in South Africa.
Yes.
Perhaps not to the level that consumers would probably like. I think, if we're going to be honest, consumers would much prefer to pay almost nothing because internet access has just become one of those things that is ubiquitous. You need to communicate, you need to be on the internet, all of these things, right? But where we sit right now, you're looking at roughly a 50% drop across the networks for, let's just call it, headline prices when it comes to data. People usually measure the price of the 1 gig has always been the one that people look at, and that sat at 149 Rand for the longest time. And you're now sitting at, roughly, 80 to 90 Rand, roughly 85 Rand. That's where we sit right now. However, what the network providers then argue, to say is, listen, for us to provision non-expiring data is going to cost a lot.
Yes.
Right? And it will likely drive up whatever your price is for your access. But what they talk about is what they call below-the-line pricing. And when we talk about below-the-line pricing, it's once you're in the club, our club as MTN, as Telkom, as Vodacom, as LC, we will introduce you to a world of personalized pricing that is cheaper and tailored to you, as opposed to, because most of the time you can just Google what the various packages are, and they're actually saying private pricing, and you see it with a couple of the platforms that are there. If you use Vodacom, for example, there's a platform called Just For You, and it basically tracks what your usage is on the network, how much data you're using, how much airtime do you typically spend, and then it will make certain offers available to you. Okay, I can
those
see.
changes, though, it's usually a 2 Rand, 3 Rand change from the normal pricing. So how much of a deal is that?
I think it just depends. I'll give you this as an example. For the longest time, I'll just use myself as an example. For the longest time, I always used to just buy 1 gig a month, right? I was always just that person that as long as I'm at home or at the office, I'm going to be using Wi-Fi. Or I just need this 1 gig to be able to,
when you're on the road,
if
or
I'm on the road
yeah.
and I really need to use data. Otherwise, I'm one of those people, I can switch off mobile data and just wait until I'm connected to the next. So what I started noticing is that because that's the amount of money I was typically, getting, Vodacom, for example, would come back and say, okay, I suddenly started getting these offers where now you can get, let's say, 4 gigs or, 5, 6, 8 gigs for that same amount of money that I'm typically spending. So they're looking at how much money is he spending.
Okay.
Right? Can we multiply? Right, based on that particular usage. So usually it's in line with what a particular consumer is spending, and they argue that that's how they're able to make things cheaper, for their specific customers.
Maybe I'm not paying much attention, and I will get back to you because I'm also on Vodacom.
Yeah.
So the big three telcos players are saying that the move isn't economically viable for them, right, when it comes to providing unlimited data or unlimited airtime. But we have Capitec through Cell C providing a service where it's unlimited.
Yeah. So Capitec obviously sits in a different bucket.
Yes.
Because Capitec is what's known as an MVNO. They're a mobile virtual network operator. These are non-network providers that are using one of the mobile providers' infrastructure to provide mobile services to their customers. These tend to be retail, type of businesses or customer-facing businesses. So a lot of your retailers and your banks are the ones that have done well. So you'll think in South Africa of the likes of FNB Connect, Standard Bank Connect, Capitec Connect, there's Mr. Price Mobile. Back in the day, there was Virgin Mobile, in fact, Red Bull Mobile, Trace Mobile. All of those, different companies are what are the MVNOs. Right now, Capitec is one of the newer players to the market, but they're the ones that is growing, the fastest right now. So they've been able to achieve a lot of growth with their offering. And one of the big things that, because they came out swinging when they launched their service, they offered, this, airtime that does these packages that don't expire.
Yeah.
Now, in their particular case, you have to think about the economics, right? Because in many instances, when you are a bank, right, Capitec isn't looking to shoot the lights out and compete with Vodacom, MTN, Telkom, or Cell C on revenues, on earnings, on margins, or anything like that. At the end of the day, they're still a bank, and they see the mobile service as a way to keep people in their banking ecosystem.
Okay.
So a rationalization is made to say, you know what, we'll foot the bill on this expiring data thing. We'll offer, open-ended, buy your package once and it doesn't expire until you deplete it, right? We'll foot whatever that cost is from a network side. We'll foot it, because at the end of the day, remember, everyone is trying to keep you in their club, in their ecosystem. So that's the decision that a bank like Capitec has taken. Yeah.
All right, let's leave it there. I still say free, no, not even free, unlimited data in my lifetime. And I'm going to fight for that. Mudiwa, thanks so much for your time and sharing your insights this afternoon. That was Business Day's Mudiwa Gavaza.
Brought to you by Ayoko, Africa's leading integrated technology services company.